Say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The roll call show, everybody is present. We do have a quorum. Can I have approval of the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda, and I'd like to amend it under new business, or under old business, Rock Park.
Okay. Can I have a? Can I have a second on approving the agenda with the addition to old business for the discussion of Rock Park?
Second.
Councilwoman Hartkey seconded. Councilman Zent's motion. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All same. Motion passed. All in the affirmative. Thank you. Any communication from citizens? None being. Consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? That's minutes of January 25th, 2022, and bills January 26th, 2021 to February 8th, 2022.
Should be 22. Sorry.
2022, yeah. Thought we was getting a whole year.
Yeah, I'll fix that.
Wrong motion.
Been moved by Councilman Weaver. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Then seconded by Councilwoman Hartkey. Any discussion?
I have a question for Buddy. Last week, John Pennington was here about burn pile. Did you ever contact the EQ?
Yeah, I was gonna need that in my report.
Okay, that's fine.
Any more discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye to approve the consent agenda.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Passed, all affirmative. Public hearing ordinance 23-01, annexation.
Ordinance number 23-01, ordinance to annex and zone a tract of land to the town of Shoshoni, which is shown in Exhibit A, which is attached to this ordinance.
first track.
The land west of Herbst, south of West 7th, with the exception of the corner lot, northwest corner lot for the cemetery, as well as the southeast corner lot, are not part of the annexation, as well as the second tract of land to the south. Of which we, the town of Shoshone, fully owns all land incorporated within the ordinance for annexation.
Excuse me, is that triangle one, is that also included in the annexation or is that excluded?
It's included.
Okay, very good.
That track been listed, is it going to be for sale?
That's the one,
Yes,
that triangle 3 acre that we
Yeah.
talked about.
right.
before.
Yeah, that's one we plan to put up for sale.
So we're not zoning it yet.
No, we're
annex-
just annexation. It's still agriculture. Whatever. Yeah, we're not zoning. It's just.
And this is the first reading.
This is the first reading. Can I have a motion to approve?
A motion.
Been moved by Councilman Weaver to approve the annexation of the tract of land addressed in ordinance 23-01. Have a second?
Second.
Been second by Councilman Zant. Any further discussion?
I just got one just on our motions. Just for audience, I'm thinking there's some people that don't realize it. When they call for a motion and someone motions it and there's a second, that doesn't mean the person that's motioning it or seconding it is actually for what's being talked about. It brings it to the discussion. Because what I'm trying to get rid of is all the discussion we have before the motion.
Correct.
So if we can just sit there and, because a lot of times we'll sit there and there'll be a motion called and everybody kind of just sits. But the motion doesn't mean anything where we stand.
Sure.
It just gets us to that next level. So if we call the motion, get the second, we go right in discussion, get it discussed and be on to the next thing.
That's one reason I like to always have a second, so you can get into full discussion with the.
Yeah.
with
It
the
just,
city
I was just
council.
trying to cut out,
Correct, you bet.
discussions we usually get.
You bet.
That was all I had.
Any further discussion? None being, all in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Permits. Caleb Phelps alcohol consumption permit.
It's for the Shoshone Rec District for a paint night on March 18th from 6:30 PM till 8 PM.
Can I have a motion to approve?
No motion.
Been moved by Councilman Weaver to approve the alcohol consumption permit by Caleb Phelps. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been seconded by Councilwoman Hartke. Any discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Going down, Helen Wilson, she's the Wind River Visitors Council Director, is online. And she was going to talk a little bit about Wind River Visitor Council, I believe TAD funding, I don't know what all she's going to talk about.
Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me okay. My name's Helen Wilson, and I'm with the Wind River Visitors Council, and I'm basically here with you tonight to answer any questions that you have about the Wind River Visitors Council, and also to talk to you a little bit about the TAD funds, which is the Tourism Asset Development Funds. So Shoshone is part of the Joint Powers, which is a group of people from Hudson and Shoshone and Du Bois, Lander and Riverton. And the Wind River Visitors Council receives the lodging tax money. And what we do with it is 25% of it goes back to the communities in the amount that the communities contribute to it. So if, for example, if Riverton contributes 33%, they get back 33% of that 20%. Shoshoni and Hudson, because there's not a lot of hotels, fall below, it wouldn't be worth it. So we provide a flat rate for both of those places. And Shoshoni this year, we had originally budgeted $6,000 in TAD money, and we just raised it at the last board meeting to $8,000 because we are having a record-breaking year for tourism. It has been absolutely incredible all over the county. Yeah, so I am happy to answer questions. I know that the TAD money came up quite a bit at your last town council meeting, which is the main reason that I wanted to speak to you. And I'm regretting I'm not there in person. I had another meeting at 6 o'clock tonight that I needed to be at, but I am happy to answer any questions. Something that I frequently get asked is what can the money not be spent on, and lobbying, alcohol, and building a building. But other than that, the reason we do it is because I should say it's a completely unique program to Fremont County. If you go anywhere else in the state, then the lodging tax is spent by the tourism board. And what we choose to do is we believe that the towns best know how to market their own communities, which is why we give that 25% back to the communities so that the communities can spend that money themselves. The town council or the city councils appoint who that money goes to, and then that organization will put out paperwork and grants and things like that for however they choose to handle it. But I am here to answer any questions. I show up at your board meetings every May, and I ask for approval of our budget, but we are working on some paperwork and some information to get out there to all of you, and I'm always happy to come and speak.
Any questions?
I'd like to know about your audits for the entities who receive the money. Do you audit them, or how is that, those
Yep.
funds?
So what we do is we give the money to various organizations, and then once a year they are required to give us a report at one of our board meetings. So we have Shoshoni and Riverton present in January, and Hudson, Lander, and Du Bois present in July, and those are at the board meetings. We also ask for paperwork that documents where the money was spent. This is going to be very, very important this year. The Wind River Visitors Council has always fallen into the range of bringing in $500,000 to $1 million in lodging tax funds. And that puts us in a review stage where the money is reviewed by an outside organization. So they look at everything that's happened. They look at our regular accountant. They look at all the money. This year, because we've had such an amazing year, we are falling into the $1 million plus. I think it's $1 million to $1,500,000. And so that review that we've normally had is turning into a full audit, which is required for any organization such as ours bringing in over $1 million. So we are keeping close track. The rules that we have with the money that comes to the Wind River Visitors Council also applies to the towns or whoever's receiving the money. So the same rules apply, and I am anticipating that this year that that audit is really going to look at those documents that we are receiving from the organizations. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Great.
I'm just wondering just a little bit if you could kind of explain, or is Thomas on, explain how Du Bois handles their TAD money?
I
The next,
think it's just me that you have tonight looking
okay,
here. Depending on where you live, different places handle the money. So right now in Lander, Riverton, and Shoshone, the money is handled through the Chamber of Commerce, so that we provide those checks to the Chambers of Commerce's, and then they are responsible for distributing it and then providing reports on where the money was spent. Du Bois, the money goes through an organization called Destination Du Bois, which is not part of the chamber. And I believe, in speaking with our board president who lives in Du Bois, the money goes through the town of Du Bois, and then it gets approved through town council how Destination Du Bois spends it. But Destination Du Bois is the organization that distributes those funds and handles that. There is quite a bit of work associated with it. You have to make sure people are spending it right, and that the Wind River Visitors Council logo, which is the Wind River Country logo, is on marketing materials and things like that. And that helps the community to be aware of where this lodging tax money is going.
But they Destination Du Bois makes recommendations to the council on where they believe the money should be spent, and the council approves it, correct?
That is correct.
Yes. Now, any other questions for Helen?
I should
Here's your
also say, I get a lot of questions. And so about a month ago, I put a question and answer section on the website, which breaks down some numbers, down some of what we do. But if you visit windriver.org and you go to the About Us page, then you'll find a pretty extensive question and answer section that I hope explains what we do. But I'm also always available for questions by phone or email.
Very good. Sure appreciate you taking the time to bring this information to you. And if nothing else, I'll let you go. Nobody else
Thank
has
you.
anything.
Have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to coming and speaking to all of you in person.
You bet. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Unfinished business?
That's on Rock Park.
Yes.
Yesterday, I attended a rec department meeting, and they would like to have closure on Rock Park. They want to give the town, I'm not sure if the term is give is correct or not. Gift.
I think.
Well, one of their questions is, because it's between two governmental bodies per se,
Right.
do we have to have can it be sold or just gifted is one question they had. The other question is, they had questions about, because the tennis courts, the basketball court on the very far west end were built with grants. The town needs to be aware of those grants requirements, that if they are abandoned, and the town either has to replace them with, they don't have to be at that place, but someplace else of equal value. My question is, what equal value, from when they were made or the current value? No, they just had questions, and they would like to have closure on this. Everything from, there's a road that's not on the map, it's not platted at all, that goes from along the railroad tracks down to the tennis courts. The town has been maintaining it forever, as far as I know. Should the town include that road in the gift, or should we have just an easement across it? They just want closure to have this finished up.
My understanding with the meeting, while I was there with the meeting, that they wanted to keep in their possession the basketball park and the park there next to it, and the boundary would be like on the fence of the outfield and the baseball. Everything else they would gift to the town. I'm positive we can gift between municipalities, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I've looked at how you dispose of property, but I believe between municipalities, between governmental agencies, if you
Right.
will, because they're, that I'm pretty sure that you can do that. We'll double check and make sure that we can have our attorney draw up the paperwork to make sure that is all good and get a legal description that include that. And I'm somewhat familiar with the process that I sat in on a meeting with the state, the rec board and the school district, and I was representing the town of Shoshoni. There is what got the attention that the rec board was asking for forgiveness from the state on, I guess, getting permission where they could abandon that park. And so,
Right.
yeah, and it looked like possibly that looked like that was going to happen. And I brought up, well, to whenever all the dust was sort of settled, and I asked the state if they would like to see, well, everybody was still on the phone, that like to see that remain a park, and they said they most certainly would. And I said, well, possibly the town would look into it, maybe be able to better do that than, because the rec board said they was really unable to afford the maintenance and everything on it. And so, I don't know. So that's what started this whole process.
They would like to have closure on it. One of the
Well,
questions they
we
also
would too.
had was paying the surveyor and getting a legal description, what the town would take. Those things to me.
No, I think.
So
we-
those are
yeah.
all things that need to be discussed and just closed. And so their next meeting is on the 28th of this month
Sure.
at 6 o'clock. I told them I'd be there to report.
No,
That's,
but I'm pretty sure, we can straighten that out. I pretty sure that's all pretty much what we talked about before. But anyway, we will, that was,
No, there's one thing that he's brought up that we didn't discuss, and that was if we have to replace the fields, the tennis court, whatever's down there. I don't know who we would find out on that information.
I've already, I sat in on the meeting. It doesn't say you got to replace the tennis court. What it says, it needs to remain a park. If you do not keep it as a park, then they can come back after you for this. So they can come back into the same of the school district when they move to the new school. They didn't go through the state. And like the sprinkler, that well that was drilled, that was all done with state money. All the playground equipment and stuff like that. If the state would not grant you a forgiveness, if you will, for that and let you abandon it, then you would be liable. Say if the rec board was gonna, as they proposed, abandon that park, they would be responsible if the state would not go along with that. They would be responsible for putting the park elsewhere or something else. Yeah, that's pretty much, and that was,
it doesn't have to be a tennis court or anything. It's just,
no,
it has to be for recreation purposes.
gotta be recreational
And it
purposes.
doesn't have to be in that place.
Correct.
But we're not, so just for clarity, so we're not entering into an agreement where we would potentially have to build another tennis court.
Correct.
Okay.
And Bud has went and investigated, and possibly that can be saved down there. I didn't know if it could. I questioned whether it could or not, but I think, Bud, would you like to speak a little bit? Because
A couple things there. Answer on that. Yeah, I did after the last council meeting, it was brought up. And I was talking that it may not be salvageable, but I actually went down there the next day and actually looked at it. It's a possibility. I don't know, the process of overlaying it or what. That wall, it used to be leaning and somebody's put some kind of a bracing up there, iron bracing, so that might be savable too. The other thing I was gonna let Bob, you brought up about that access road along the bike path,
Right.
but you're right, because I know the rec board there for a while, they strung a cable across there and shut that road down, so that might be something that you guys want to make sure they leave access to that,
Sure.
because I know before they did shut it down. So, and I heard you say something about
Yeah,
that.
those are
that
some things
access
that we
road.
just need closure on.
Right.
Sure.
Because I know before, like I say, they have strung a cable across there and shut it down. The rec board did, so.
Right.
But I know in the meeting that I sat in there with them that that was gonna be included into the,
Okay.
yeah, because they wanted to keep the softball field and where they got the garden in the park there, they wanted to keep that. Right,
That's all I have.
yeah, no, appreciate you attending the meeting. I was tied up with engineers and wasn't able to make that meeting. Chris, new business, employee retention premium. Would you like to discuss that a little bit?
Does everybody get a chance to read the memo that I sent out? Yes. So any questions? Would you like me to describe it or?
I think you probably briefly describe it for
Sure.
those that.
So the memo that I'm referring to is a memo that I sent to the council members regarding starting this kind of with COVID-19, how it first started and what was experienced then, the unknowns, and how it's kind of evolved and permeated throughout society and its effects and things that were not initially believed that were going to occur, that here we are. And we did, and I go and touch on the ARPA money, which was the American Rescue Plan Act, which was passed in last January. And that provided obviously direct payments to citizens, $1,400, I believe, per person. But it also provided monies directly to municipalities, counties, and states. We did receive $111,694 in that money. And at the time, the initial restrictions on that was it was locked to be spent on responding to COVID in certain ways. Infrastructure being one, broadband being another, medical response, which we use some of that money for some medical gear and equipment that we have, as well as premium pay, hazard pay, if you will, for employees of municipalities. We did not enact a hazard pay program, so that was not applicable. And so the federal government came out with what's called the final rule, which changed their original meaning and interpretation into what is they determine as the final rule, which was issued in January. Is what that does is it expands out some of the what premium pay is. So instead of just hazard pay, it's a premium pay, as they call it, premium pay, which is related to the effects of COVID. And it is payable in different denominations, monthly, weekly, daily. Pays up to $13 per hour per worker or $25,000 per year premium on top of their normal wages. And what that is meant to do is counteract job loss or people leaving one job for another because of pay and COVID and inflation. And so what I recommended was the based on the Social Security Administration, which I know we have some seniors that receive those checks, and they know that their cost of living COLA increases from year to year to year are extremely small, minute. Sometimes they're taken away just by the increase in benefits. This year, that increased 5.9%, which is the largest increase in Social Security in the last 40+ years in response to COVID. Coincidentally, the last time it increased that much was during the late 70s and early 80s, when those that were around then, not me, experienced inflation kind of similar to what we're experiencing now, with 7+% year-on-year inflation, rate of inflation, was the last time that was adjusted to that level. So using this formula, essentially from the Social Security Administration, would allow that use of that funds for employees of the town from July 1st of 2021 through June 30th of 2020 to receive a 5.9% increase in pay for that year or year only. It's not something that locks the town into continuing as far as expenditures for a pay raise. It's not actually a pay raise, it's a premium bonus on top of the pay related to the COVID-19. That's it in a nutshell. Any questions?
Does it mean, so if it, so in this 5.9, so if an employee, is it on their gross or net?
It has to be off gross. So it's,
Okay.
and so it would be in two installments. One would be from July 1st, 2021 through June or January 30th of this year, since that's already been paid and earned. And it's only for, it's retention pay. So it's for employees that are actually still here, not any employees we've had along the way. And that would be a 1 lump sum payment. And then it would continue at 5.9% month to month until June 30th, and then it would expire.
And so what that means in real world, so if a person is gaining 20,000 a year as their earnings, so it's 5.9% on that, which is $1,180 for the year.
For the year. Correct.
So in it, so that would, so you'd give them, so they would get a $600 payment for last year,
Essentially.
and then
$100 a month or extra, whatever that percentage is.
I'd like to make the motion for the employee retention premium.
Been moved by Councilman Weaver to approve the employee retention premium. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been seconded by Councilwoman Hartke. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion passed on the affirmative. Department head report, police, library.
Just a quick brief of January. For once, for the first month in a while, we didn't have any DUIs, so that was actually a really good thing. I don't know if the Fremont County Task Force for DUI enforcement was pretty strong for December into January. Hopefully that played a factor in it. We did have a couple of suspicious and disorderly calls, including domestic, and some warrant arrests. Other than that, it's been a fairly calm January. Hopefully it stays that way as far as that's concerned. We did have a little bit of a theft that was related to one specific area in town, west end of town specifically. And that problem, I believe, has been abated and is no longer going to be a future problem from here on out.
it's all been stolen.
I don't want to call the place out specifically, but they're gone.
I like to set bear traps.
You try that. We did have some juvenile issues, quite a few at the school, involving with our SRO and some other just juvenile issues in general. Pretty much all was handled through in-house or through our courts downstairs. Only 2 crashes. Weather's been pretty good, so we haven't had a lot of ice or conveniently not a lot of bumper dings in the parking lot this year, so that's been good. We did issue 126 traffic related citations in the month of January, which is up from 66 last year, so almost double. although Andrew was at the academy last year, Jeff was working, it was just Matt and I. So that's, it's not that we're writing more, it's just that we have more enforcement. And then on the other note, now that we have our vehicles, should have our final vehicle done from Riverton, hopefully at the end of this week. I'll be looking into the plans for what's called e-citations. And it kind of goes into our mobile spillman and our mobile applications that we have. And I'll get back to council with that, but that would be the final component for equipment wise for the vehicles that we haven't done yet, but that comes with the record management system. So it's a little bit more comprehensive than just printing out citations. But what it does do is it increases our accuracy. It makes the job of data entry much easier because it's all seamless and it's electronic. Some of us have bad handwriting. I'm not one of them. But it also, while our average traffic stop is between 15 to 18 minutes. With e-citations, that drops to about 6 to 8. So with more than half the amount of length of a traffic stop. But the biggest thing is officer safety is while you're writing citations and you can't write them like this. So you're having to look down as you're writing and you're not really aware. We do have a camera, we can see what's kind of going on. But just with what's going on with attacks on law enforcement in general, you know, it is Shoshoni. There's lots of people from other areas that do come through here that maybe don't have the same level of respect and decency that people from Wyoming do. So that would decrease that lack of attention and increase officer safety. But I'll have that as we go forward. But that's pretty much all I have as far as law enforcement. And the library report will be on the next meeting. I actually pulled her into town hall for the last 2 weeks because we had some absences. So that was not completed for this meeting.
Hey, Chris, on the motor vehicle stuff, did that get resolved? Is it still
Yeah.
under? It did.
Well, it's still technically under investigation. We have the suspect and we have the information, so that will be. And the vehicle was recovered. Unfortunately, it was wrecked prior to recovery.
Thank you.
Just for a thought, we have issued a few brake ticket or
Oh.
engine brake tickets. For
Yeah,
those that have requested.
yeah. I issued three of those citations were engine braking at night.
My wife thanks you.
Not everybody's happy about it, but I mean, it's 11 o'clock at night and you're coming through town. It's probably, I believe the word's starting to get out to start not using them when you come through town.
Yeah, I know I've had multiple people in the public talk about it. It should be, when are you gonna start, writing tickets? Well, as soon as we get the sign up for one. That took forever, but we did.
Well, we try to use a little bit of common sense. I mean,
Yeah.
With some of them, but some of them are so extraordinarily loud that I know probably rumbles your house, rumbles mine.
I hear them coming down S Hill,
Yeah.
not in town. That's where I hear them coming. Because they slow down going up.
Which is good that it's
Well, but
further back, but
it's out of town limits, but they're still using them. I still hear them.
yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it clear, yeah.
Guess we can put the sign back further.
Director of Public Works.
Really don't have much to report on because nothing major's really been going on. So our everyday thing here lately. We've been busy painting apartments, senior housing, but one thing that I did want to mention is, yes, I have got a request letter written up for burn days. Me and Chris talked about it. We usually wait until about spring to get a burn day permit. We talked, I think it was March. What I put in for was March until the end of May. So 3 months. If that works for you guys, I will go ahead and send it off. I kind of had some trouble finding the air quality guy that was in Lander had retired. Another guy stepped in that position and I didn't know who it was that I was supposed to be sending this to, but I did finally find out. So, but that's what we intend on doing is from
Sure.
March to the end of May. because of tumbleweeds around, yeah. But, and I had some people saying, well, how come is the county in control of the burn days? They're not. It is DEQ air quality that the town applies with DEQ out of Lander, which of course it goes to him. He turned around, got to get an answer from Cheyenne, his boss. So, but it's actually them that controls us.
The only time the county would be, or the fire district is with the fire.
A fire ban.
Yeah, fire ban.
And
Right.
there's kind of some things there too. Some people say yes, and I've talked to Craig Haslam, and he says, no,
Right.
you're a town. We have no control. It's out in the county.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's kind of back and forth. But if there's a fire ban, it's only wise that the
Yeah,
town
common sense, right.
shut it down too.
Same with the fireworks.
The town's burnt down way back when 3 different times back in history. So you wouldn't want it to do it again. So, but as far as burn days, if we get approved, it all depends on the air quality, so it's a decision that DEQ makes. So, but yes, so we'll get that in and see what they have to say.
Thank you. Any questions from Bud?
Good. Good. Okay.
Good. Councilman Weaver, do you have anything you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I got a couple actually. On the housing that we're looking at doing over there off Hurst Road. While we're annexing it, why don't we, because we don't have to do this, we don't have to do any zoning right now. We can change that whenever
Correct.
we subdivide and everything else. I'm just kind of curious, when do we get to start working on actually trying to figure out how things lay out as a council, how the houses are, how many houses? It's going to get changed back and forth, but it'd be nice to start working on that now instead of after it's annexed and all of a sudden just have to start discussion then.
Well, that's part of I think that's part of what we're gonna be doing on these special meetings we're going forward on.
Okay.
You're gonna need some sort of ideas. We're looking at sewer lines and everything coming in from there. But that's something we should be working on in the upcoming months. I think that's all important part of it.
And then where are we sitting with the realtor?
We got a signed contract with the Realtor.
And then how do we go about coming out with real estate prices? We get an appraisal or we get together?
Well, there's multiple ways to sell it. If you sell it, put it out to the highest bidder, you can have a clause in there that the town can accept or reject any or all bids. We can agree to come up to a minimum. And if it's sold at the highest bid, the property does not have to be appraised. It needs an appraisal if you're selling for economic, we still have to go through appraisal. If we do an economic development, or sell it another way other than the highest bidder, because we can elect, if someone says, we want to put in something that's going to create 40 jobs and we'll give you $200,000 for the property, or we have someone say, we'll give you $400,000 and, we're not going to do anything with the property. The town governing body may determine it would be better for the interest of the town to take less money. And that would be legal, because that's part of state statute. If for economic development, we don't have to take the highest bidder.
How does it work with the realtor if we put it up for auction?
Same way, he'll get a percent.
But aren't we the ones doing the work for the auction, or is he get advertised?
No, he'll be advertised, putting it up. uh, you can put it up like, we'll be accepting bids for the next 3 months. And he'll handle all of that. He'll be advertising it, putting it up, he'll put signs up, put it on the MLS, list it. That'll all be going through the Realtor. You could also, if you wanted to, have an auction here and auction it off.
I'm just curious. I just
Sure.
trying to
You
figure
bet.
out how fast we can get this on, because right now we have a good market. Who knows
Sure.
how long it's gonna last? I mean,
Yeah.
country's crazy right now, like a pop.
Working on that right now. We do have a signed contract. We're working out the descriptions, legals for put it out on the list. I was at the surveyors today, getting some of the information that the realtors requesting. Good chance we could have it on the market, next week.
And then how do we go about coming up with, like, if we do auction, are we just gonna pull a special meeting to figure out pricing, or how are we gonna do that?
We can discuss if we did, one property, we already set a minimum price we wanted for. We can do that. But, the wording, and Marshall is gonna help me with that. The wording is to get the information, that our ad is proper and the wording is correct. And we'll be following state statute on that, on everything, and that will be worked out with that. As soon as we get that done in descriptions, the realtor's ready to move forward. But, it'll be options, and it's just like I said, we're governed by state statute on how we can disperse of public property.
Mhm.
And so we got to follow those guidelines. So it's not as simple as if you or I was just going to sell something.
Yeah, no,
But
I'm just trying to,
Yeah, but we have more options, and we got to list the options. And the realtor is also on board. It's say if Mike was saying, well, I'll give you $500,000 for that. And Tammy said, well, I'm on $100,000, but I'm going to put a business in. So the realtor is on board. The realtor is on a percentage, 5%. He's going to make more money if he sells it to Mike. But if it's better for the town to sell it to Tammy, then he's on board to taking his commission off the whatever's best for the town of Shoshoni. So so his commission, if we got that larger disparity, and it actually could be something like a large number differential, if it's better for the town, and he's knowledgeable that his commission will be based on the lower price.
and then I don't have my notes with me. Which property did we agree on a payment? Which one?
The 3 properties we have for sale, of course, is Town Hall,
Mhm.
which includes everything, where the PD is, the library is, and to the east.
Mhm.
So we have everything but the fire hall on this block and the Catholic church. That's one.
Mhm.
That's one, and we can even offer that and give them options on one or which
One
brings
or
the
all
town
three.
brings the most money to the town. Second is up there at the old B&B property,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna call it the Nunez property. There's 6 lots up there with the shop,
Mhm.
and there again, we may keep that all in one piece, but I know there may be people interested in breaking a couple lots up in the back where the shop is, and there's maybe some interest of putting a business in on the front, but that's the second parcel. And the third parcel is that 3-acre triangle south of the highway. As part of
And the 6 lots with the shop, that's the one that we came up with the price from.
That's the one we came up with, that we established a minimum price that we would accept on that property.
And then if we split it, we'll just,
Yeah, and it'd be like, say we get say $100,000 and someone offered to buy the whole property. And we got someone where the shop is, say, well, I'll give you 80,000 and we get an offer of 40,000 for the front, that's 120.
mm,
So we split it up, take the most money, and else there was a reason, an economic development reason that we would take the less or number,
mhm.
which we would be able to do that.
So Does a
My
prospective,
getting, huh?
does a prospective buyer have to disclose what they want it for
Yes,
to the realtor?
to the town council. I mean, he's gotta have a proposal written, this is what and it'll be to the
Business plan.
realtor, which will go to the town council.
So the realtor is handling this stuff, but that's part of what the realtor is.
Right,
That's his,
sure. But it's up to the town
And that's
council
if
to
it's-
make the decision.
that's if it's at a bid? Or is that,
No, it's gonna be a bid. We have to sell it. We have to sell it. It has to be a bid to the highest bidder, and else it's economic development's involved. So we need to put this out with bid. If we have someone that would come and we got this plan here, then we can look at that. But anything over, valuation of $500 by state statute, we have to sell. We have to auction off.
and so do we have to decide as a council, or have we decided we are going to put this up for bid, or we are going to go through the appraisal process and say, for this piece of whatever property, we want $1 million, or just put it out for bid?
If there's only certain, there's to go through the appraisal process, there's only like, I believe, I might be right, I don't.
I'll have to take a look.
I think there's 4 reasons we can use that. And there's I think only 4. But if we don't use one of those 4, it has to it's economic development, intergovernmental land swap or something like that. I forget, but I believe there's 4 things. But to sell it to John Q. Citizen, it has to be the bid process. And to the highest bidder. And it'll have to go to the highest bidder and we can reject all bids. We can have, we don't have to accept the highest bidder. We put that disclaimer on it, but it has to be. And that's my understanding of the law, and I'm sure Marshall will make sure that, look at it, so we'll make sure we do it right. But that's my understanding of the law, that anything over $500 has to go through the bidding process and be auctioned off, or we can have bids like we're doing and put a 2-month timetable on it or whatever to come on in. And if we don't like the bids, we can reject all of them.
And so when we say like the bid, so we're really looking.
I mean, yeah,
But there's really 2 parts to the bid. It's not necessarily the dollar amount as much as it is the intended purpose of the property.
sure. All of our offers may have no economic development factor at all. We just want to buy it for whatever reason.
And that's what they would tell the realtor.
Right,
I just want to buy the property.
yeah.
And if he said, what do you want to do it for? I don't know. I just want to buy the
Yeah, well,
property.
Someone might want to say buy the property and speculate, but we may not want to sell it for some speculation. We may want to sell for some of the economic.
That's what I'm wondering.
development.
So if someone comes and says, I'll give you $200,000 for the property.
Right.
What are you gonna do with it? I don't know. Versus the next person that said, I'll give you 50,000. This is my business plan.
Correct.
That's where the realtor can say, it's $50,000, but here's the business plan. This one wants to talk about it, this one doesn't want to talk about it. And so
Correct.
we don't get in trouble when this world says, why do you take the 50,000 versus the 200? You say, well, because this was the plan that.
Yeah,
made
well,
more
yeah,
sense.
we, the governing body, would review the plan, not the realtor, and make the decision whether we accept the lower offer. And we like the business plan, yeah. And move forward, but the governing body would vote on that. And that would be the, how that would work.
So that would be the
It's
same for, so the three parcels that you mentioned would be so we would say this would have much more of an impact on discussion versus the,
Yes.
maybe the triangle, someone says, well, I just want to park my horse down there and say,
Right.
object to it, you'd say, great, let's just do that.
That was, I know we had, discussed in the past that we didn't like. I don't believe the past council felt fairly strongly about not like selling this to a speculator if it wasn't gonna bring in some economic development.
Sure, it was and I guess that's where it goes back. You could have the one person says, I'll give you $1 million for it
Right.
with no plan.
Sure.
I mean, it takes a council for the other person to say, well, we've got an offer for 200,000, but here's what they've laid out. And
Sure.
maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, but at least there's a plan versus the,
And we try to make the best decision for the town of Shoshone. That's that's kind of the. But anyway, we've a Realtor asked for our attorney to drop the verbiage, if you will, because this is a little out of their well house because they're.
well, it's kind of an interesting sell. It's not cut and dry as far as it's
No.
not, we're gonna sell this piece of property. I mean, if it was different than the government side, you said, this is $1 million, whatever it is.
You're right.
We'll just sell it, whoever buys it, but it's money, but we'll just call it economic development or what do you want to do with it?
You bet. Yeah, it's our duty to look out for what's best for Shoshone. And hopefully we're making the right decision. That's
Sure.
what we gotta try to do.
What about putting up, that we're getting closer, just for prospective buyers for in the future, coming up with some type of sign out there saying future home of so-and-so subdivision out there. So people actually, when they're driving by, they're already seeing.
Well, I'm glad I thought of that. No, I think that's a great
It's low
idea,
cost
Councilman
and people
Weaver.
will see it.
No, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, we need to, without a doubt, we need to sell Shoshone.
Mhm.
I'm trying to encourage everybody. I'm getting all the word out, school teachers, everything. we can do. But no, yeah. I think that's a good idea. And we're gonna have big signs here. For sale here at Town Hall.
Mhm. Well, yeah, that one, I figure that's where Realtor comes on board.
Yeah, we're gonna be working on that. But no, that's a great idea.
Okay.
Future
Just
home sites.
Yeah. future commercial, future whatever.
Working real hard right now, figuring out I think we've discussed the issues with how to figure how to lay it out and because of the sewer lines and trying to keep from having, lift stations in there, the best way to lay the streets out. And we're still kicking that around. I spent a bunch of time yesterday and today with the engineers and surveyors going over that stuff.
Well, if a lift station, let's say we go ahead and we sort of laid it out, we're figuring out the lots and all of a sudden, well, we need to put a lift station there. We've zoned this out for a lot for a home. We just don't have to put a home there and the lift station, correct?
Well, sure. I mean, we can, until a house is built or whatever,
Mhm.
Yeah, there's nothing to prevent us from changing, but we try to do our best due diligence, try to get it right. And good chance there's gonna be some things that are still wrong even when we do that. But in trying to, with that land out there and to try to do the best laying that out to what will work best for the town and try to avoid lift stations if we can. We're gonna have we know we're gonna have to have a minimum of one, but I hope we don't have four. But we know we're gonna have to have one, so try to design that and also keep in mind what Gore and Associates done for us so far, just sort of a rough draft.
Mhm.
We sort of got an idea of what we want and it may, the sewer system may look a little bit different as they get into depth and spend a little more time on elevations and everything else, but part of what sold this was housing, so.
Yeah, I'm just anxious to get on it because I want to see once we start running our streets and everything, because then we'll be able to actually know how many homes we can put up.
Correct.
Because it's gonna start shrinking it once we start putting in the streets and
Sure.
everything else.
Yep, um, that was part of what I was doing yesterday and today. Spent quite a bit of time and earth and
Perfect.
since we knew now that we know we got the money.
Mhm.
So now we can get more serious
Aggressive
on
on,
what we're doing. Yes,
that's all I had.
I appreciate good discussion. I hope it was informative for everybody that's listening. You know, try to get that out.
It's already up there.
Perfect.
Okay. Tammy, anything you'd like to input?
No, I got nothing. Not today.
Appreciate it. You're just trying to keep the meeting short. That's what I meant. I appreciate it. I always drag it on, but you're keeping it short. Mike, any help?
I'm good. Keep it short.
Okay.
I've been asked about crosswalks by the new Plaza Park. And we're here at this intersection.
Okay,
How do we get the paperwork done to get the state to paint the lines?
good question.
Call Chad.
I bet possibly our Director of Public Works who deals most closely with the state of Wyoming.
Pretty good roundtable tonight.
What I can do, Bob, is I'll go down and talk to Chad down here at Whitehawk
Okay,
and see the process of getting that done.
well, I know they paint them every year for the school.
Yeah.
Right, and now you're talking down by the
By the
plaza and
Yeah,
where else?
right here.
Oh, the old one.
There's no crosswalk
They
at
were
this
supposed to do
intersection.
that after that chip seal.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, we're looking
I've
at
never
town
paid
safety
attention.
and,
Wow.
you know,
okay.
other,
I'll
you
question.
know, so would you, as police officer, where would you put additional crosswalks? Because, I mean, those two, I think, definitely.
Well, we need one over there for sure.
Yeah,
That's, that, we need that. And then
right here.
but I would say going this way too.
Yeah,
'cause we have a
right,
lot of
correct.
cross traffic that goes directly across Second Street
right.
would be,
But
You
that's,
should-
that's a
see where
good
it was.
question.
but the problem with that, I know we talked about that right there, is that the way it's laid out is that this one jets out a little bit, so it offsets everything with the way it's long, so we'd have to get with them to put it somewhere right there. Or sorry, going this way, it wouldn't be necessarily right to the curbs, it might come a little bit in a little bit.
Well, I almost think that it was overlooked because when we did the sidewalks, remember when they did the sidewalks, put them little flashlights up there, the flashy little lights that HDR did. They were talking about whether the contractor had to do the crosswalks. Whitehawk said hold off because they rotomilled that. And Whitehawk was supposed to come back and do that. Because there's one at California. And then Pine, ain't there?
Yep.
For the little
There's
crosswalk.
one at Sixth, well, right there.
Yeah, and they were supposed to, so I'll
Okay,
go out there.
so,
Part of that, though, that might have been the problem is that they ran out of money because the contractor used a different kind of mix and it threw their project way up. So this was supposed to get all overlaid all the way down and they stopped it. They stopped it right here. That
Right.
might have been,
Right, yeah, they were supposed to pick up because this is all concrete here through this intersection, pick up. And that's right, they were supposed to
and they
continue
ran
on.
out of money. So that might have been why it never got done.
okay, I'm just,
Yeah, I'll-
Because I do remember them talking about the contractor that did the sidewalk have to put them crosswalks back in. And they said, Whitehawk said, no, hold off, because we're gonna rotomill it. Because if you put it in there, we're gonna tear it right back up. So I will find out on that.
okay, that's just something that's been brought up to me and
I never even thought of it until, yeah, good thing you're thinking because.
that's all I have.
But I will find out.
Okay. I'll touch base a little bit on the slip. Both our applications were approved by the State Land and Investment Board, which is headed up by the governor. It's SLIB is the top 5 elected officials in the state. Went relatively well. We got everything we asked for, so I think we're pretty happy. Conversations I thought was pretty good. They had some pretty good questions about past history of the mushroom farm, and we discussed in depth that as Chris had put it, it's not comparing apples to oranges, it's comparing apples to baseballs. That we have the the company we have and their vision for their plan and for the town of Shoshone is just that much different. And they've done a lot of work. I don't know. Well, things were slow. I know they spent over $1 million out there repairing things and doing things. They bought a couple trucks. It's the concern are that, we're building this, and a big part is to run out there so they'll be able to tie in and they can have housing and stuff like that. And in 2 years, are they going to fail? That was the question type, like that. But I think they were very comfortable with that, and they were pretty good. We weren't going to say anything, but they asked me a question, so I warned them. I told them I'm pretty good at not making a short story long, not too good at making a long story short. Fill your cups of coffee, and here we go. But they gave me a soapbox to be able to stand and brag about our town. And so I did, but meeting went good, and they're recognizing the tourism, the potential need for a motel, full service motel cafe in town could be very important, and to our community, the school is requested, they'd love to see it, so they hold more track meets or whatever, you have people for overstaying. And at the end, the governor even said, well, we'll have to start holding more meetings in Shoshone because we're in the middle of the state.
He also,
Huh?
he also said, apparently I stopped Auditor Racine. She said she had met me on the side of the road. She didn't say it was a traffic stop. And then the governor said he would make sure he slows down when he comes through Shoshone.
So I also made everybody's laughing, having a good time, but I mentioned that but our chief of police welcomes many people to the town of Shoshone and talks to them alongside the road. But no, it was all pretty good. They recognized that we're doing a lot of good in Shoshone, and that this chance for expansion out there, Sheridan got Weatherby, and that's a really big deal, but this could be bigger for the town of Shoshone than Weatherby is for Sheridan. I mean, it opens up just a lot of possibilities. So pretty happy about this. We just got to move forward with this, and we go through we got to choose our engineers, our first thing. Like we've mentioned, Gore and Associates, we hired them to do the preliminary stuff. We'll actually put out an SOQ, statement of qualification, from engineering firms and have them apply, and then we'll review that and choose the engineering firm we're going to use.
And that will be the decision of the town council, not influenced or told by the state. On that, so it'll be in-house where the council chooses.
And more than just a council, I think we should also have our Director of Public Works, Bud Boyle, involved with this, and also Chris also involved with this. So, but anyway, so have our clerk, chief, and have our department heads all involved in the discussion and going over the qualifications. I think something that probably is important is manpower, and how fast can they get on it, and do they got the people that don't dedicate to the job. And I mean, there's a lot of things, because I don't know, it depends on how fast. What was the time frame they told you, Chris, we may get papers signed?
We should have everything notice to proceed within 45 days if we do a quick return. And
What's the town's net worth?
3.3 or 3.5 million last I checked, somewhere right around there.
3.5. How much grant money did we just get?
Total from this just alone 1.67.
That's pretty good improvement on the town's net worth.
So no, it's a lot of hard work by everybody here, and governing body. Everybody pushed it through, so we got it. But it's but hopefully there's a chance, if everything goes smooth, we could still get this built in this next construction season.
That would be great.
That's what I've talked, we can start advertising hopefully by next week for a call for our SOQ
Mhm.
and hopefully have the engineer picked and everything. We can't put them to work until we get all the paperwork signed. At least we can have one on board and
Ready to roll.
ready to roll and get it developed and then get it out for bid.
Mhm.
But there's, I think, a chance we still get it done this construction season.
Great.
So,
Did you say there was two things that we got from the state?
And then we got the feasibility study.
That was on SLIB?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they both, yeah.
Yeah, they
So
were
you approved
both.
the feasibility study. That was for the hotel. correct?
Yes.
I don't know if the audience knows. So you have that, and then the other one was for the million
1.67
for doing the sewer
Right.
expansion that also incorporates going down to the 40 acres. That
Well, yeah, it won't include the 40 acres, but we're gonna be where it's designed to where the 40 acres can go into that.
so that was like, did we talk about going down 7th Street or going down the imaginary 4th Street or
Well,
something? Is that what this grant is for?
Yes,
But not so. So when it gets to the actual doing more in the 40 acres, that will be another thing.
yes.
The lift stations, those things, that's nothing to do with this current grant.
Well, there'll be at least one lift station
On the,
on this that will have to be,
gotcha.
but in the design sense, because this is put in and part of the reason we're putting it in is this 40 acres for housing. That was part of, we mentioned that and the housing on the Mushroom Farms property. So, and they understand one of the reasons we were looking down, it was far more expensive to go down Herbst Lane and then cross 4th Street. But we thought it might be easier to tie in property into it. And once we get an engineer in there, we'll, quite frankly, that could be changed.
So they'll say,
Yeah, we get another engineer's look at it. Yeah, but that's why we went the more expensive route. Because we felt it would be the better for the town to go the more expensive route than just do the short line. We thought it'd be, and the state, both the Wyoming Business Council and SLIB agreed with that decision.
So the way I wrote the grant was I went with option 2, which transgresses through that 40 acres. And that's where I incorporated housing as a tertiary component of the grant request. And that's why we got the grant that we were approved for was a more expensive option up to that for that reason. So it will,
in essence, a better return on investment.
yes.
Yes, for the town. So we're trying to, hopefully open up more land for the town.
When you say transverse across it, so that would be the line, the imaginary 4th Street line. Or, yeah.
4th Street,
That would,
yes.
that would cut across
To Herbst.
to
Right.
Herbst.
So basically, that's the important stuff. Seemed like there was something else I wanted to talk about. but-
You have on there the
Oh,
demo.
oh, you mean about the slip?
On the demo, yeah, we got that out for bid, right?
So it's out to bid. We have 4 so far contractors that have responded and downloaded the manual. We'll have to have a special meeting and hopefully it'll be really quick, but for a bid opening. Nothing will be awarded at that meeting. We have to publicly open them. And then the Tri-Hydro will give a recommendation to the council on who they think is the best suited. And then on the regular council meeting, it'll be on that agenda to actually select them. Anticipated end date for substantial completion would be April 28th and final completion second week of May, I believe.
That'll make the end of town look good. Well, we're gonna start looking a lot better.
Hopefully they keep some trees.
Is that on the, is that a trihydro call?
No, actually, it's in the bid manual, it says to keep the trees if you can. So it's gonna be a contractor call. So we'll probably have no trees.
If I have no trees.
A lot of those elms are half dead anyway.
Yeah,
How are we sitting on that B-Bell property? Did we ever get everything completed on that?
We don't have the title in hand yet.
What's holding that one?
Be about signing the. Desi's got to sign off on it. She's agreed to, they just haven't got it done, and Nick, I think, went to Arizona. We already talked about the Realtor. Seemed like there was something else that last week I wanted to bring up, but I must not be too important, or I'd have had it here. If any questions from the audience? None being, nothing else for the betterment of Shoshoni, can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Moved.
Been moved by Councilman Demick to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a second? Tammy, quick.
Second.
Councilwoman Hardy second that motion to adjourn. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same. 8:15, we are adjourned.